This is Jack Moelmann, and it's May 18th, 2015, and we're in the Fox Theater of St. Louis, Missouri, as part of the Party on the Pipes put on by the St. Louis Theater Organ Society. And with us today is a great organist that I got to meet many years ago when he was playing in a pizza parlor in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. His name's Dave Wickerham. He just finished playing here at the Fox, and he's had a great weekend. So welcome, Dave.
Jack, it's a real pleasure to be here.
And
finally.
But now, just so we can find out a little bit more about you, just when did you start in music? Where's your very beginning?
It all began, I was just about 4 years old. Yeah, it all began when I was about 4 years old, and my folks bought one of these little Magnus chord organs. This is before the days of Casio keyboards. They just bought it as a Christmas gift for the household, and my brother and I, we shared a record player, and we basically would have these little 45 Disney records, and wasn't long after getting this little Magnus chord organ in the house, I started picking out by ear some of those Disney tunes and songs that were on the record. So that was the beginning of it. From there, my folks, about a year later, got a small spin at a Wurlitzer. In the meantime, a neighbor of ours who taught piano at the time, she discovered or realized that I had perfect pitch. So it started all by ear originally, and then later on, my folks looked for a teacher that knew how to take ear students and didn't discourage ear playing, but yet could teach the theory and ultimately reading music too.
So you've been at this a long time.
Ever since I can remember. I actually don't remember a time pretty much not playing.
Now, is this your life's work, or do you have another job?
No, this is pretty much what I have done. A good portion of what I have done as a career is playing in pizza parlors. The first one was, as a family, we used to go to a place called Pipes and Pizza, which was in Reseda, California. As a family, it was like every week. And we had found out that that restaurant had a jam session on Sundays, and so I started going to those, signing up for 15, 20 minutes. And about a year later, the owner at the time had approached us and said, how would you like to have a Monday night gig every week, just actually play for real money? And so that was my first job, and I played continuous from that point for 32 years. I didn't miss a week of pizza work. Played it became the Great American Wind Machine when Mike Moelmann purchased the restaurant. I played for Bill Brown and for Organ Stop from like 77 to 83, 84, and then moved to Chicago and played for Pipes and Pizza there, and the Organ Piper Music Palace in Milwaukee, and then sort of a short stint there in Las Vegas, and then back to Milwaukee. So, and then we took the position as a music curator at a museum, the Millhouse Collection, in 2004. So lots of pizza and lots of requests.
You've been busy, and of course the audio of this thing has cleared up a little bit because we're in the Fox Club of the Fox Theater, and they've been running the vacuum cleaner. So
that's the thing. Any theater you go into, if you're rehearsing, there's always a vacuum running somewhere. That's true.
Yeah, and this one has a central vacuum cleaner. You know, this place was the home of Stan Can, who was the vacuum cleaner collection.
I was amazed when I sat down on the bench here, and right there, he's kind of immortalized. It says, Stan's Can sat here. Wonderful little token on the bench.
And you protected it because you put a towel on
I didn't want to sweat it up. That's like, it was.
Yeah. Well, listen, of all the things you've done, let's talk about what is the most exciting concert that you ever did? Not a concert, not necessarily, or the most exciting pizza parlor, whatever. You don't have to mention names if you don't want to, but please do if you want to.
There's been several of them that sometimes when the magic happens, you can't make it happen. You'll get a particular audience, and it gets in a particular mood. And I've had that experience in several places. I've had it. One of the places where I've recorded was at Trinity Presbyterian Church in San Diego. had some very exciting shows there. At Dickinson, there's a place in Florida with a relatively new installation, which is pretty magic, down in Plantation. Same thing happened in the pizza restaurant. You know, you get a crowd, sometimes you'd get a cast party from a musical, you know, and they're just a little more musical than the average, and it can turn sort of a regular evening into something it's almost like a show.
Yeah. Well, the follow-on to this is, what is the biggest disaster you had? Either the organ, you're playing, the audience. What's the one that you hope never repeats itself?
Well, I think the one probably that stands out, and I guess the what's happened, that probably won't happen again, but sometimes you have this run-of-the-mill ciphers. Those are okay. I like to play around those. You know, it's one of those things where you have you know, it's like you have lemons, you make lemonade. So we'll play a song and make music from a cipher. But the most horrifying thing was we were sitting, and I can remember Jelani Eddington was sitting on the bench with David Harris on the piano at the pit, in the orchestra pit at the Rialto Theater. And we were going to begin it was a Christmas extravaganza show.
The Rialto where?
The Rialto Theater in Joliet, in Illinois. And this is an older relay system that they had a number of years ago, and a number of people had some situations with that. But ready to go, and it was the voice of God was speaking and bringing us on, you know, ready to bring the pit up, and I hit a general piston, you know, the sort of the big opening console riser piston, and about 3 stops went down, and the MC is getting to the, you know, with no further ado line, and I realize there's going to be a downbeat and there's not going to be any pipe organ. So very quickly I looked over to Jelani and just said, you know, we've got Houston, we have a problem, and I ended up hand registering really quickly, and we were in the nick of time, and it all worked out fine. We ended up talking a little bit about what mechanical things happened after the first number, and they rebooted the system, and it was great after that. But that feeling of what do you do, and you know, you're on, you know.
And the show must go on, and the audience probably never knew the difference.
No, you know, and we talked about it, and they got to know a little bit more about the instrument and how things work.
Was the theater organ a dying art form, and even the instrument itself?
I think it's really important these days, not just having young players, but having young technicians, people who are organ building, or getting into organ building. We can't let it die. I think it's really, really a valuable part of American music history. I think it's really important, and I would say from all the years of playing in pizza parlors, and I watched from the 1970s basically up through, you know, mid-2005 or 4, the trends and requests and how things would move. And the most important thing really is to make sure that you hit your young audience where they live, with things that they know. I mean, it's wonderful to play all of the greats. You can Jerome Kern and Cole Porter and Gershwin, all wonderful things everybody should know about. But if the kids don't recognize it, it might not, you know, it might not grab them. It might not, you know, they might not be taken in by the experience. You know, they've got to know it. They've got to hear something that they recognize. And sometimes these days, because of things like MTV and everybody, you know, watching videos, you got to do some more. Sometimes lighting, extra sound effects, extra things. And I know it's not original theater organ, but sometimes these things are really important, because it's what the kids have gotten jaded to that. So you got to make it. It's got to hit home.
Well, the pizza parlor is one element of it, because most of the people come there to eat.
Right.
And now we talk about concerts, and of course, once you use that word concert, it's got some.
Well, and it's interesting you say that word, because there was we were talking with a musical director, and they were putting together a program, a printed program and they had on there the word recital, and I you know, it hadn't gone to print yet, and I basically said, you know, that really isn't really fitting for what I like to do. And even the word concert these days, to some people, to the general masses, I think they see that as
Connotation of
stuffy.
church and
Yeah,
funeral home.
stuffy.
Yeah, stuffy.
And so I like the word, I actually use the word show. It's a theater organ show. And that can be lighting, it can be, you know, if you have gimmickry, you have things that are going on besides, you might have soloists, you have singers, you have a drummer, you have a small ensemble, a big ensemble, but it's a show, and people seem to like that. I think that has more gravity than organ concert or recital. You know,
that's for the classical people.
that's fine.
But no, you're right. I think having some gimmicks, little silent movie sing-along, stuff like that, adds a lot to it. Because the hardest part's getting them in the theater to begin with,
Yeah, absolutely.
and then wanting them to come back the next time.
Yeah, you got to kind of dazzle them, and like I say, society has become more dazzled. I mean, with the event of home theaters, people who just like sit in their house and don't go anywhere. And you got to get them out and into the the big theater experience. There's nothing like, and you know, I mean, it's like when I sat at the first theater I was at was in L.A. at the Wiltern, and it was the first time I had the experience where the house lights went down and the spotlight came up, and you heard that thunderous that opening chord. And out of the black came this, it's something happens. I think it's like EPROMing a chip.
Yeah.
You're changed after that. And people need to get that experience. If they don't have that experience, they can't relate to what it is that your passion is because they've never, they never had the goosebumps. They've never had that.
Well, this video, we're going to not run this too long, but is going to end up on YouTube, and some people see them by accident, some see them on purpose. What would be a message you'd leave to whoever might be watching this to get them interested in going to hear one of these programs, not the recital, or get them to play or be a technician, or just get involved? What would you tell them, being one that's been around for a while?
I think everybody has different sort of they're equipped with different natural talents. Some people are very engineer-minded and electrical and fascinated with just mechanics of things, and they can be musical too. I know a number of people who are they're both musicians and very good technicians and builders. But I think that if you happen to see if in your city or wherever you live, if you're close enough to a larger city, it's probably a little easier. If you ever see a show, a theater organ concert or a show advertised, certainly something you need to experience it live, because there's no audio system, there's no stereo or a pair of headphones that does it quite the same way as just actually being there. And take advantage of it. If you see a concert, you have an opportunity, go to it, and you make the decision when you're there. But I think you're going to be pretty blown away, because it's something else.
Well, did you have a good time here in the St. Louis area?
Oh my gosh, this is I've heard things about this weekend. This is one of the funnest few days. We've done a number of different places, different events at different places. Not quite like this, and I'm looking forward to attending another one in the near future. This has just been a blast. A lot of fun people, a lot of great instruments, a lot of eating. I think I've been overserved many times.
I think they've convinced themselves that they're going to invite you back. So.
I will gladly come back and look forward to that. As I mentioned to one of the members, anytime you need the bench warmed, I'll be glad to come back.
That's good. Well, listen, I think we'll bring this to a close, and this is May 18th, 2015. We're here at the Fox Theater in St. Louis, Missouri with Dave Wickerham, and we wish you well in all your... What are you doing these days?
Oh gosh, I've got, I think there's something like 54, 56 concerts total this year. I'm very excited. We're heading back to Australia in October, and I think it's 14 concerts over 2 months, October and November this year. And so we're going to have a chance to do a little sightseeing too while we're there in New Zealand.
Like I've always said, the first song you play at a concert should be something you know.
Yes, and I never forgot. You always said the red ones make it go louder.
Three reds for every white stop registration. Well, thank you very much,
no,
Dave,
it's
for
been
taking some time. And this is Jack Moelmann here, and we'll find some other neat people to interview and share experience with.
Thank you so much, Jack. It's been a pleasure.